Sahana bhavatu sahana punattu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. We have been discussing a very strange concept of Vedanta, which is usually difficult to understand, difficult to register, forget understand, difficult to register that the world does not have joy. The world does not have joy, doesn't have. What we all understand is that the joys of this world are temporary. This we all understand, because we have all been in philosophy long enough to know that. And also, I mean, not even philosophy, I mean, you can see it in your own life, right? The joys of this world are not permanent, they are temporary. This everybody understands, even people who don't come to class understand that. Now, what extra are you doing by coming to class? Anybody can find out very easily that the world, the joys that we get from the world are temporary, are fleeting, they go away. What is it that you have to understand in class? Of course, you have to understand what to do about the fact that these joys go away, obviously. But even more important is to develop the philosophical temper by understanding that it is not that the joys of this world are temporary. The right statement is
there is no joy in the world.
There is no joy in this world. When you say that there is no joy in this world, it is equal to saying, equal to
no sorrow in the world.
Very good, Deepa. It is equal to saying there is no sorrow from the world. So many people are very cynical. They say, oh, this world is sorrowful. No, it's not. There is no joy in this world. Does not mean that there is sorrow in this world. There is no joy in this world means that
no sorrow as well.
there is no sorrow. Because these pairs of opposites always go together. Only that which is capable of causing you joy can be capable of causing you sorrow. That which is capable of causing you sorrow is capable of causing you joy. It goes together. Your husband or wife is capable of causing you joy and therefore is capable of causing you sorrow. Somebody living in Ethiopia has no capacity to cause you joy and therefore gives you no sorrow either. So all this goes together. Now, what we are learning right now is the world has no joy. And he gave us an illustration for that. What was the illustration?
The moonlight.
The moonlight. Beautiful illustration, isn't it? Because when you say that the world has no joy, then people will say that's ridiculous. I just enjoyed the best Alfonso mango. What are you telling me? I had it for breakfast. How can you say that there's no joy? It makes no sense. It's exactly like saying the moon has no light. As you experience that light, as you enjoy that light, if you have any knowledge of science, you will know. When you say any knowledge of science, it means any knowledge of the facts. The fact is that the moon has no light. If the moon has no light, how come I'm seeing the light? Because what you see is a reflected light. It is being reflected from something that you do not see. When you don't see the sun, you see the reflection of the sun. The reflection means the reflected light of the sun. Why are you seeing the moon? Because you're not seeing the sun. You claim you're enjoying the moon, but that moon that you're enjoying is nothing but light reflected, light which came from the sun. Exactly the same phenomenon is happening to us. We are enjoying the objects of this world, not recognizing that we're enjoying the reflected light, the reflected bliss of the self. You do not see the self, you see only the reflected bliss in the object. And you chase object after object, chasing that reflected bliss. Go to the self. You'll get the real thing. You don't have to worry about all this reflected stuff. You know why the reflection is seen? Even on the moon, because of a certain position. That position that things have are capable of giving that reflection. When that position changes, the reflection will be gone. Like the moon, it waxes and wanes. The moon is not waxing and waning. What is happening? Position is changing. Exactly the same thing is happening in this world. The position is changing. That which gave you a certain joy at a certain time, when the position changes, the reflection will no longer be seen. Imagine losing our life behind that reflection. So, what is the moral of the story? Seek the self within. Seek the truth. Seek the higher. Seek something vaster, greater, bigger. Then you need not seek happiness. Happiness will seek you. That's what Kabira says. कबीरा मन निर्मल भयो जैसे गंगा नीर, पीछे पीछे हरि फिरे कहत कबीर कबीर. We are seeking Hari, everybody is seeking Hari. So what does Kabir say? O Kabira, he tells himself, O Kabira, man nirmal, make your man nirmal, make your mind pure. Nirmal, without mal, make your mind pure. Jaise Ganga Neer, like the waters of the Ganga. Piche piche Hari fire. If you make your mind so pure, like the waters of the Ganga, then Hari will run behind you. Kahat Kabir Kabir. He's saying, wait, Kabir, wait for me. Calling out. Hari will call you. You don't worry about calling Hari. Hari, for all those who don't know now, with this international audience, Hari is the Lord. Okay, not Hari as in hurry up. Anybody is new today and doesn't have the faintest notion what is going on, they all seem to be known. कबीरा मन निर्मल भयो जैसे गंगा नीर, पीछे पीछे हरि फिरे कहत कबीर कबीर. Hari will come running after you. You don't worry about it. Don't worry about chasing the Lord. The Lord will come running after you. Your job is to make your mind pure. That's where we started the chapter from, right? So we go about chasing so many things in this world. And of course, we start running away from things, because chasing things always means running away from things. If you're chasing something, that means you're going away from something as well. And in this madhouse, our whole life is chase something and run away from something. All the time. But catch hold of the self and you have to chase nothing. If joy is from the self, is sorrow also from the self? Didn't we do this last time? Joy is from the self in the sense that when you uncover the self, there is joy. And sorrow is from the self in the sense that as you cover the self, there is sorrow. Remember we spoke about were you there last week or not?
Blanket example.
Yes, correct. Blanket example. Jyoti, were you there last week or not? There is a bulb.
No, I missed last week.
Okay. So there is a bulb. You cover it with a blanket, there is darkness. You remove the blanket, there is light. The light has always stayed the same. So you don't say that the darkness is from the light. You never make a statement like that. But if you do cover the bulb, then yes, that is darkness. And when you uncover it, you remove that blanket, then there is light. So sorrow is covering the self. Joy is uncovering the self.
Good.
Janki, this blanket is equivalent to desires also, no?
Yes. Desires, ignorance, they're all the same thing. They all lead to ignorance, leads to desires. All of it leads to the same thing. So the ignorance of the self is sorrow, and ignorance of the self leads to desires, agitations, a whole gamut of stories. And when you remove it, it's joy. There's nothing in this world capable of giving either joy or sorrow.
But Janki ji,
Yeah, Elsie?
even when we don't know the self, even then because of the reflected bliss, we are getting happiness.
Yes.
Then why it doesn't persist?
Because the position
Why there should be
moves.
sorrow?
Yeah,
What
because
is
position moves.
Here positioning means our desires.
No, the position of the world moves. See, there is the moon, there is the sun, right? The moon doesn't become big and small, right? But you feel like the moon is waxing and waning. Why?
Yes.
Because the position has moved.
But in that example, converted into our daily experience, what is that change of position in our life?
Suppose you're standing on a balcony, okay, and there's a traffic light, and there are some very beautiful cars at the traffic light. So you look at them and you're really enjoying the sight of these beautiful cars at the traffic light. Then the traffic light turns green and these move along. Then you say, oh my God, my beautiful cars went away. They were not yours to begin when they stopped there because of the traffic light. They moved when the lights changed. So same thing happens in life all the time. The position changes, things move, things change. And the joy we were getting from it goes.
But Janki ji, the reflected bliss should be permanently there, no? Even if it is reflected.
Yeah, but the object is now gone.
Okay.
See, either the object goes or the position of the object changes so that it no longer gives you joy. For instance, okay, why am I giving? Somebody give an example. Did anyone understand? Give an example.
Mango season will be over.
Yes, mango season will be over. Not only mango season will be over. Do you realize in Mumbai, at least in the rich houses, everybody will send each other mango, whatever, patty. And then then they put on the dining table in some nice fruit basket or something for people to eat, for the house people to eat. What happens to those mangoes thereafter sometimes?
Rotting.
They're just rotting. They're taken out and thrown away. Or, you know, if it's a good housewife, she'll try to make some dish out of it or something. People are fed up. They're seeing the mangoes all the time in front of their eyes. They won't eat. So the position moves. Either position moves means either the object goes away, or the object changes, or your mind changes, or the circumstances change. Even if circumstances change, the joy goes. For instance, Elsie, if you were in a restaurant eating your favorite food, and suddenly you hear some bad news, your cell phone rings and you hear some really bad news. This dish, which is your favorite dish, which you've just put a morsel in your mouth, and you were enjoying it and picked up the phone and you hear about some bad news. You love the food, it stayed steady, the food is perfect, that is steady. Circumstances change, joy gone.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Janki.
What?
Yes, I
Okay,
got it.
so that's what it means. Position changes means something changes.
Janki ji,
Go ahead, Bharat.
clarification on the line in the paragraph. Similarly, the world has no happiness. So it says when you get close and actually encounter it, you become disillusioned. So wouldn't the agitation cease and give that temporary happiness? So why would the person get disillusioned?
Bharat, one day you will get married, you will find out how you get disillusioned. Until you get married, you'll think, oh, one day I'll get married. And then you're like very happy about it. Then one day you get married, wait 3-4 years. We'll see what disillusionment means. So the moment, you know, people chase money and chase money and chase money. And then you chase money so much, you chase money. And then you buy something with them. It's very, so you want more money, so you buy more things. Then you get, you want more money so that you can buy even more things. And then eventually you reach a position where no matter how much money you have, there's nothing for you to buy. Have you seen what the richest people do? They start giving the money away. What are they going to do with it now? So much money, they don't know what to do with it. Literally don't know what to do. It's called, as I know you have already read, the wealth fatigue syndrome. Literally, what will you do with your money after some point? That's why in India, a lot of our scriptures look down upon money. You know the historical reason for that?
He had a lot of money.
There was so much, correct? There was so much. It's like, तो मैं क्या करूं इसके साथ? It was like that. All the Rajas, Maharajas gave it up. There was so much money. There's a beautiful story in the Upanishad where one man, one great Raja, one Maharaja, Chakravarti of India, had two wives. And he decided that he will abdicate his throne, give up his throne, and go to the forest. So what he did was he gave his wives the kingdom to rule. And he said, you people rule it now, and I'm going. So one wife said, okay, thank you very much. Very, very sad you're going, but okay, if that's what you want, fine. The other wife, who was even smarter, said, wait, if you are leaving a throne for something else, then I want to know, what is that something else? What is that thing that has given you so much joy that the throne counts nothing in front of it? Give me that knowledge. I don't want your throne. And so the Upanishad. So then he starts teaching her. And that's the Upanishad. Gives a Brahma Vidya. Because if you're willing to give up Chakravarti Maharaj, you're willing to give up kingship of India, which is the most prosperous land. You know, India was the most prosperous land for the longest period of time. No other country has been so prosperous for so long. And yet nobody asks this question, how did India do this? Nobody says, whatever India did then, let's do it now. We are desperately trying, but let's see how that goes. But when you reach a certain point of wealth or anything, you know, a lot of people I have seen very, very unhappy with their relationships. A lot of people. And they come, they cry. It's so painful. The husband or wife is having some affair or is not listening or something. It's one of the most extremely painful things for a person to have discord with their spouse. Very, very painful. And people want to commit suicide because of it. And I mean, it's really painful. If you hear the person speak, you will start crying. It's that painful. Now, in the course of this last 30 odd years that I have meeting these people, I have seen how much pain that marriage or relationship or whatever causes. I have equally seen people who are happy with their marriages. Absolutely happy. You say, how is your marriage? They say, yeah, all good, all good. And in that much pain about something else. Those who don't have good marriages and are in pain because of that can never be convinced that you could have a good marriage and still be in pain. They can't be convinced. What can you say? So, Bharat, when you get something, the most common phenomenon after getting it is called, Bharat, please answer because I know you know the answer to that.
Being neutralized or bored with it.
Yeah. Then what is your question?
True. Got it.
Okay, so you.
But Janki ji, sorry, my
No,
doubts.
Elsie, please ask. In fact, you have a whole month, isn't it, to ask questions?
But
Elsie is
Janki
one
ji,
of the few people. I hope you all know that next month there will be no classes, no online classes. You're all aware of that, right? You're not aware of that?
No, we are not aware. Why?
Oh, why? Because next whole month we're going to do a full month residential course.
Oh,
Because everybody said, what about real world classes? Real world classes. And people are missing the real world classes. So next whole month we're going to Lonavala, all going to live over there. And anybody can come for as much time as they want. You want to come for a term. A term over here is 4 weeks. You can come for a term, or you can come for as many days as you want. And you all don't know about this. Nobody knows. You know, right? Oh, okay. So next month, 15th May to 12th June, this is what we're doing. So you go and live there. All of you all, please come. Come for as many days as you can possibly manage so that you can actually live that life. We really need to live that life. Not just learn about it online. Because I don't know, as you all are doing it, what discipline is going on in their life. And I know all those who came for the retreat, Shilpa, Jyoti, Deepa, all of you who came for the retreat, Bharat. Well, I mean, I'm sure you yourself have experienced what is the difference. So, okay, where were we?
Dissolution.
Huh?
Elsie has a question.
yeah. Can I, Janki ji?
Yes, my point being, please don't be worried to ask any amount of questions now and also when you come there. Because I'm saying this
Okay,
because
thank you.
Elsie is coming there.
Yes. Janki ji, if it is due to reflected bliss, any object should give us joy. Whether another object comes or another person comes, then whatever comes in front of us should give us joy. Then where is the question of sorrow? Why it is coming?
Because you have detached the self from it.
But reflected bliss will be there. We are not changing. We don't know
No,
about
but you
the...
detached it, no? You separated it. Okay. When you meet your mother, for instance, you're
Yes.
able to see you're able to get pleasure out of it.
Yes.
Meaning you're seeing the reflected light of the self.
Oh, okay.
When you meet your mother-in-law, you have detached it from the self. You say, nothing to do with me. Then
That means something in us also is playing a role, no? There.
something gives you sorrow, what?
Something in us, like our mind also is playing a role there.
Not also is the only thing.
Okay.
It's not different. The more the mind plays, the more the self is blanketed.
Okay. Okay. Done.
Yes, Priya, otherness. You have segregated it from the self. When you have detached something from the self, then that thing will give you sorrow. When you have associated it with the self, that thing will give you joy. All right. So, all good so far. So, who will read the next paragraph? I will.
Actually, we haven't done this, have we?
Oh,
We've done that, Omkar.
we're now to the story. Okay.
A prince approached a sage reverentially to learn about God. A conversation ensued. Prince, venerable master, who is God? Where is he? How can I reach him? Sage, may I know who you are? Prince, my name is Gajapati. Sage, I appreciate that is your name, but tell us who you are. Prince, I am a prince. Sage, is that not your status? The prince, yes, it is. I guess I am just a human being. Sage, you say you are a human, not a bird or beast, but that is the species to which you belong. You have not yet told me who you are. The prince then realized that he was going round in circles and did not really know who he was. So with all humility, he spoke again. Prince, am I then this body, mind, and intellect which define my person? Sage, nay, not so. They are your material equipments. They too belong to you. The answer left the prince bewildered, and he submitted himself to the master. Prince, sir, I now reckon I do not know myself. Kindly let me know who am I, and how does that relate to my inquiry of God? Sage, dear prince, you are the supreme self, the divine core of your person. The mind, the body, mind, and intellect are mere vestures enveloping yourself. The self is known as Atman in Sanskrit, God in English. You will have to find the self within through introspection, through study, reflection, and meditation. The prince, realizing that he did not know who he was, surrendered to the sage. The sage explained that the body, mind, and intellect were only covering the self, the Atman, within us. We discover the self through introspection, study, reflection, and meditation.
Very good. Can you tell me what these last three words are in Sanskrit?
Bharati.
What?
Shravan,
Shravanam,
Manan, Nidhi,
Shravana, Manana,
Yes.
Nidhi, Dhyasana.
Nididhyasana.
Very good. So how do you gain the self? Through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. But we are not interested in Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana because
Lot of work.
lot of work, okay. Bill Gates put in lot of work. Steve Gates put in what? Steve Jobs put in lot of work. What
not
is this?
attractive.
Neil Armstrong, huh?
It's not attractive.
Why not?
No desire for self.
Why not?
Because we are ignorant.
Just distracted with other desires.
Why?
Janki ji, we are getting pleasure from the word. That's why we are not worried about self and all these things.
Even those who are not getting pleasure are not worried about it, Milind.
Because we don't know we are the self.
Very close. Can you put it in another way?
Because we are the self.
We identify ourselves with our body, mind, intellect.
Very good. Very close. Because we believe we know who we are. If I say, who are you? You'll say, I'm Usha, I'm Milind, I'm Shilpa. You don't have a question. How can there be an answer when there is no question? How can we go out in pursuit of an answer when we never had the question? How many of us have put a question mark to our identity? Just put a question mark. Am I this name? That's what Desdemona said, if you recognize the quote. Am I that name? Yeah. Am I that name? Am I Usha or Milind or Shilpa or Deepraj or Kinnari? Am I that name? I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. the boy who works here, he's a Christian. And he is always trying to tell me, establish that he's a Christian and I am not. And so, hamare mein aise hota hai. You know, like as if there is some distinction. And I keep trying to tell him, nahi bhaiya, sab mein aise hi hota hai. Kuch alag nahi hota. He won't hear that. He can't hear that. Because his identity is, I am Christian. Are you that religion? Are you a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian? Is that who we are? I'm an Indian. I'm an American. I'm an Australian. Is that who we are? I am this body that you see. Really, is it? Is that so? When this body changes, you are not there, you're not there, what happens to you? You were at one time a tiny little thing, cute little tiny little thing. Now you've grown up into a Rakshasa. Now you've grown up into a grown adult person. So that cute little thing and this grown up person, what is the similarity? And yet you claim both to be me and never question, am I that cute little baby or am I this sample, this grown up? What am I? I don't posit the question. And therefore, why will I put an effort to find the answer? So you're right when you say we have no desire. We have no desire because we don't have the question. But they who have the question, wild horses cannot stop them from going to find out what it is and doing whatever it takes. So if you find yourself not doing whatever it takes, it only means that in your mind, there is...
You are convinced about who you are.
There is what?
There is no doubt about who you are.
Yes, there is no value for this subject. There is no value for this answer. Because you know who you are. Why are you asking? Why are you asking me? I am Deep Raj. What is there in that? I am what, Bengali? Deep Raj, Bengali?
Yes.
Yeah, I am Bengali. I am Deep Raj. I live in where, Deep Raj? Calcutta? Kolkata?
Assam. Assam.
Assam. Okay. Assam. Wow. Beautiful place.
Very beautiful. Full of nature.
Yes. One day we can do a retreat in Assam. We should all go there, you know. Nobody's seen that side of the country. It is so amazingly beautiful. Nobody knows about it. Otherwise, it would be a huge tourist destination, which is probably good. It's not.
Good people don't know about it. Yeah.
Huh?
Good people don't know about it.
Yes,
It's
I know.
still in raw state.
Yes, perfectly. And and you can go see there the double route bridges and all. It's really amazing what these guys have done. Anyway, I'm not trying to make this into a tourism development for Assam, but we're so sure, we are so clear, we know for certain everything. And the whole philosophical temper is about
Finding out the real.
is about questioning.
Questioning.
But we're so sure that now what are you going to go find out? Then you say, oh, I can't get up in the morning. Oh, I can't come for a residential course, keep it online. Or have a class near my house so it's convenient. All this we say because?
Solid desires.
Okay.
No doubt about identity.
No value.
No value. If you had value, you will say, I don't care where this is, I'm going to go get it. I don't care how comfortable, uncomfortable, whatever, I'm going to do this thing. So, the moment we gain the value, and how will we gain the value?
Questioning.
By asking questions.
by realizing you don't know. And if you don't know, how are you living your life? You don't know who you are and you're trying to live life. How can that even be possible? If you were to just get just a glimpse of how life is when you see it, everything from the stance of the self, you understand that. I don't mean understand as in realization, but understand as in you're able to appreciate the possibility of a higher and a greater dimension to yourself. You're able to see that. And the moment you take the stance of that higher dimension, immediately, automatically, you gain the one quality which you require for a good life, which is
Objectivity.
fantastic. Very good. Excellent. The moment, correct, Momita Kinnery, excellent. I'm so glad now everybody started to answer. You get to take the stance of the self. If you do take the stance of the self, and somebody says something rude to you, the buy hasn't come, whatever in the world has happened, you think that affects you? But genuinely, not like, oh, let me pretend I'm the self, not like that. You genuinely see. You start 100 crore project when you don't have 10% in your pocket also. If you were to sell yourself also, you wouldn't have 10% of that. And there's no tension. Because if you see yourself as the self, then what on earth are you going to get worked up about? If this world deserves a great university, it will get one. And if it doesn't deserve it, it will not get one. What have we got to do with it? Na lena, na dena. Now people understand na lena, na dena and they stop doing all work only. That is the sad part. Na lena, na dena, but kaam karna. Because if you don't do work, what are you going to be doing anyway? You have to do something, right? So might as well find the best possible thing you could do and do it. Ask the question, what is the best possible thing I could do? And do it. So why are you doing it? Because you have to do something. What have you got to get from it? Na lena, na dena. What have you got to get from it? Nothing. Why do you not have to get anything from it?
Because we are complete.
Very good. Because you're already paripurna. What are you trying to get now? Already full, already complete, already happy, already everything. What are you trying to get from anything? Can you just imagine the difference in a person's life when he's able to conceive an identity different from what he or she is currently conceiving? Just even for a moment, just glimpse into it. Then some value for this knowledge will come. Rajesh, you had something?
Yes, Janki, how are you? So the example that we went through, right? I mean, that will be the case with 99% of the people around, right? So I just want to know, at least for the people around you, the close circle, should you actually wait for the penny to drop, or should you keep prodding them to ask questions? I mean, because if they don't have the vasanas, irrespective of how much you try and you push them around, it will just not, it won't strike them that this is what they should be looking out for. So what's the best way forward? Just let them discover it naturally, and whatever time it takes, or how should you approach this?
Rajesh, you studied this a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean,
so Rajesh had also come for the retreat. All these people who came for the retreat, please answer, Rajesh.
Do not unsettle the minds of the ignorant.
Continue.
Morning study.
Morning.
By your own grace and dignity, render your actions attractive.
Very good. Don't tell anybody anything. Just live the right life. Let your life be the biggest advertisement for this knowledge. So never mind about other people. Never mind about rescuing others. Let us rescue ourselves. And when we are rescued, whoever finds that attractive will follow. So as this is a Lord's advice, make your own life attractive by living this knowledge. Let people ask the question, how come you are like this? Okay, Rajesh?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Janki ji.
Mm-hmm.
So the questioning part will eventually lead to us asking and negating all those things we are not, like in the conversation, right?
Yeah, because when you start thinking about it, you really don't know. Now look at the name, Bharat Lalwani. Who are you? I'm Bharat Lalwani. What is this name telling me? It's telling me it's a boy. It's probably a Sindhi. Maybe from Mumbai. But do these things really define me? Is that my definition? Is that defining me in any way? And if it is not, then what is? So that quest has to be the quest in the sense we have to see that there is something wrong in this thing. That if I give something a name, I know what that thing is. A long time ago, I used to study. Long time ago, I did a short course because it always fascinated me. Astrophysics, so the study of the stars and all that. The one topic in that which I never ever liked, and I couldn't relate to it at all, is the most common and what everybody else knows, which is all the when you look up at the skies and you can name the stars. This is Big Bear. This is whatever, Orion, whatever you call them, and simply could not relate to that. I couldn't relate to it because it's like taken some random stars. You know how these constellations are made, right? Some random stars that happen to be together and made somebody think of something. The hunter or the bear or the tipper, they made somebody think of something. And they called that particular group a name. And we were supposed to know those names. And it was so futile. That whole identification, calling it a name. People do that with birds also. I can tell what bird this is. This is a sparrow. This is a turret. This is a whatever. With grasses, different kinds of grasses, different kind of flowers. We think we have understood our world because we've given something a name. And that name is just a way for us to communicate with each other. To indicate the same object. By calling it a name, have we understood what it is? When I look at the image on my screen, I see Usha Sukumaran written. So I know that this particular image is Usha Sukumaran. So if somebody asks me, shows me this picture later on and says, do you know who this is? I will say yes. But when I say yes, I know this person. All I may know is
The name.
The name.
just
Body,
the
mind,
name.
intellect.
Does that name hold any understanding of the three-dimensional person that Usha is? I know her name is Usha. But does every one of us who can see her knows her name is Usha? So what do we know about her? Do we know what she's going through right now? Do we know about her granddaughter? Do we know about her interest in flowers and art? For every single thing I tell you, I'm adding a dimension, right? To this face, to this name. But even though I've told you about her granddaughter, about her flowers, about all this, do you really know this person now? So if I start thinking about it, when will I know Usha? Tell me, when will I know Usha?
When I am Usha.
Okay. So
When I know the self.
When I know myself.
When I know myself. So we are very happy once we've called something a name. We feel, okay, we learned it. We know what it's called. So I know that this person is called Bharat. I know that this person is called Janki, Rajesh, Milind, Deepraj, Shilpa, Momita, Uttara, Naeem. I know this. But what do I know of that person there? Who or what that person is? So this is when I look externally. So if I start looking internally, then what do I know about myself? That's why his first step was, you must turn introverted. So turn within. When you turn within, then you start wondering about it. So when you start wondering about it, you're in the ocean, right? You're lost. So what is the first thing you should do?
Find something to hold on to.
Okay, so
seek guidance.
Seek guidance, meaning Shravana. Listen to what people are saying. Listen to what the wise sages are said. Go through the books, understand what they are saying. Okay, just hear what they're saying. If today you heard a concept, there is no joy in the world, just hear it. Having heard it, then comes stage 2. Start thinking about it. Is this true? Is this false? What is the logic for it being so, if any? So that's your process. But this whole process just cannot start until you have the question. What question, what answer are you going to get? Why have you gone to a saint? Why have you gone to the scriptures? No question only. Oh, something good to do. Something good to do? There are many, many good things to do in this world. Why this one? Hopefully you've come here with a question that you want to answer.
Thank you.
Naming in science is just a method to learn a tool. The learning is of more value. Yes, correct, Varsha. That's what the point was. If you don't name, you can't talk, right? How can you talk about something until you name it? But having named it, you've not learned anything about it. For instance, see coronavirus. We all know coronavirus, right? We all know this name, but really, what do you know about that virus? You know its name. That too, we have only given that name. It's not even like that fellow told us what its name is. We only decided his name is Corona and have been calling it that. So what do you know? Because you call it Corona, what really do you know? Okay, clear so far, all good? Okay, who will read the next paragraph?
May I? Vedanta helps reveal the Supreme Self in you. You then realize your infinite being, that which keeps you performing countless deeds. You move every muscle in the body. You cause each hair to grow. You eat. You produce the digestive juices in the stomach. You digest the food taken in. You distribute the digested food in every part of the body. You evacuate the waste. You operate the nerves. You feel emotions. You think various thoughts. These go on and on all your life. So this paragraph.
Reshma, wait, stop. Since you are well versed with this, I'm going to ask you a question. Answer the question. Tell me, which question is the author trying to answer when he tells us all this, gives us this information? What is the question that he's giving this as the answer to?
Who are you?
Okay, can you think a little further?
Your original nature.
Little further.
The enlivening principle.
Remember, what is the question that will be? Somebody has just
How can I discover myself?
What have you just read? I'm going to read you that paragraph again. Dear Prince, you are the Supreme Self, the divine core of your person. The body, mind, and intellect are mere vestures enveloping yourself. The self is known as Atman in Sanskrit, God in English. This is what you just read, right?
Who is God?
You're paying attention and you have been told you are God. You are going to say,
What is the proof?
what is the proof? Okay. See, this is why you have to approach the knowledge fresh each time, not live in the past so much. You have been told, you already know. I mean, you've been told means in the previous thing, you have been told that you are God. You take it for granted because you're studying Advaita Vedanta, you just take it for granted. Yes, Advaita Vedanta says you are God, as if it's just one theory we should know. The most obvious objection is God is infinite. I am finite. How can this finite being be God? That's impossible. You're talking nonsense. It cannot be. I cannot be infinite. I am not infinite. God is infinite, right? Everybody knows that. And you're telling me I'm infinite? I'm not. So what is my question now?
How can I reach God?
Forget reaching God at the moment. You're not convinced you're God still. Your question
How can
is,
this be true?
yes, how can this be true? How can I possibly be infinite? I am small. I am useless. I can't do anything. I'm trying my best to run my business. That also I'm failing at. And you're calling me God? How on earth can I be infinite? To which he says to you, what is he saying, Reshma?
That you are the one who is performing everything that is happening within from birth till death.
Yeah. He's showing you how the infinite resides in you. Just imagine that. I hope that is clear now. Reshma, you're clear? He's answering the question, how can I be God? How can I be infinite? Now, you would have sort of summarized it as you just did very well, but please stop to understand why would he say this? Why is he telling us that you move every muscle in the body? You cause each hair to grow. You eat, you produce the digestive juices in the stomach. You digest the food, you distribute the digested food, you evacuate the waste, you operate the nerves, you feel emotions, you think thoughts. And you do this endlessly. Goes on and on and on. How many activities do you think you are performing? How many? What's your number?
Infinite.
Infinite.
So while you claim your smallness, Vedanta is proving you are the infinite. He's just establishing that. He's saying, you think you're small. You think you are just this little petty person who can hardly do anything in this world. Or if at all you achieve some petty thing in this world. You are the emperor of emperors. You are the Lord God, the Supreme Self. And you bind yourself, you restrict yourself, and you say, I'm such a helpless, weak character. Why are you doing this? Uttishta Parantapa. Get up. Oh, Parantapa, that's what Krishna keeps telling Arjuna. Uttishta, Uttishta, get up. Get up and fight. Fight this nonsense which has come into our head that we are some small, ineffective, useless people. I am self. I am not a man or a woman. I am not an Indian or an American or an Australian. I'm not a Hindu or a Muslim or a Sikh. I am not poor. I am not rich. I am not intelligent. I am not dumb. I am not happy. I am not unhappy. I am
God.
Self.
I am the self. And I will live my life from that stance. That is the dignity. That is the character. That is the grace of a human life. No, I refuse to believe that I am a finite, ineffective person. I refuse to believe. Because I know that on a daily basis, all this stuff is going on within me. Who or what is making me do this? Who has digested that food? Who has heard the sound? Who has seen the sights? Who has taken in those millions of breaths? Who has done all this? And who will keep on doing it? Every nerve that has moved, every sound that was heard. Who did all this? I am not the small, limited being. I am the self. And I will live my life from that stance.
But Janki ji, how does these facts prove that I am the self? Because I am still believing there is some principle which is making all these things happen, right? It's like the bulb is saying I am electricity, which is incorrect.
No, this is not the bulb saying. This is the light saying, I am electricity. The bulb is not capable of saying. The body, mind, intellect are not capable. I hope that's clear. The light says, I am electricity. It is never the bulb that says it. The body, mind, and intellect by themselves are inert, insentient. They're given sentiency by the self. And that self is now appearing as light. It says, I am not this light. I am the self. I am electricity. Okay? So when we say, so just correcting that statement, when I understand that there is a principle that is making all this function, what Vedanta is saying, you are that principle. You are not what functioned. You are what made that functioning possible. Okay?
Janki ji, if...
One second.
Oh, sorry.
Reshma, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm understanding, but maybe it'll take time to sink in.
Yeah, 9.
If we start believing that I am the self, I am God, then like most religions talk about humility before God. So what does Vedanta stand on that? Like, where does humility come?
Same stance. The body, mind, and intellect has to be humble before the self. Same stance. There's no difference in any stances. It's the same stance. It just depends from which stance you're talking. If you're talking from the level of the self, no question of humility. We're talking from the level of the body, mind, intellect. What is the body, mind, intellect compared to the self? So please, body, mind, intellect, stay humble.
So a realized person would not be humble because he doesn't need to, because he is the self. So if he's realized, would he not have humility?
He would have absolute humility, Naim. You tell me why. Why would a realized soul have absolute humility?
Because
Universal love.
he will see the self in everybody.
Because he sees the self everywhere.
Go one step beyond this.
There is no ego.
There is no ego. Why? Why is there no ego, Arun?
Because there is no world.
No world, yeah, exactly. No world for him.
No, because for him, he is the self. So where is the question of ego? Ego is your misapprehension, is your misknowledge, is your misunderstanding of who you are. The head bows down when it realizes that it is in the presence of the grand, majestic titan, the self, God. Okay, Naim?
Yes, thank you, Dr.
Okay, so that